The energy pattern of Vata is the energy pattern of movement in the physiology. That is to say, anything that moves in the mind-body is under the guise or is done by this energy pattern called Vata. So if you have a thought, that's Vata in action. If you have the movement of digestion of a piece of broccoli going through your GI tract, that's Vata. If you have the movement of blood through your blood vessels, that's Vata. If you have a movement of a nerve impulse moving your finger, that's Vata. So anything that moves in the physiology is under the guise of this energy pattern, Vata. Vata, when it's in balance, creates mental clarity. It gives you great creativity. When Vata is in balance, you have a calm mind. The mind doesn't race. But when Vata is out of balance, all crazy things happen. You have a racing mind, you're under stress, you don't handle things well, you lose your ability to be creative. And all of these things are things that are not really very healthy. And in the end, Vata, as an energy pattern, creates 80% of all disease in the physiology. So it's very, very important for us to rein this energy of movement in our physiology in and keep it in check, to not let it get out of whack. So Pitta is the energy of transformation in the physiology. And Pitta gives us the ability to make change. When we change a piece of broccoli into heart cells and lung cells and brain cells, that's the power of the Pitta energy in our physiology. When we understand a thought and we say, oh, I get it, that's Pitta at work from a psychological or mental point of view. When Pitta gets out of whack, the most common thing that we see is anger. It's just rage. And everybody has experienced that in their life. They've either seen it in themselves or they've seen it in others. But road rage is classic Pitta. Pitta gives us competition. So when you see a lot of people at a football game, at a baseball game, at competitive events, those people are strongly Pitta motivated. So any athlete who is competitive is actually engaged in strong Pitta activity. Ayurveda gives us guidelines by which we pacify these particular doshas. So when we are strong Pittas, such as myself, then we want to really pacify that energy pattern because it can get out of whack and get out of control. And then we can get sick if we continue to aggravate this energy pattern of Pitta. Kapha is the energy pattern of stability. It keeps us grounded. It keeps us so that we're not flying off into space. It's the most matter field or molecularly expressed of the energy patterns. And Kapha, it gives us grounding, stability, and it allows us to function in our material form, in our molecular form. So examples of Kapha energy are cholesterol, heavy molecule, foods like dairy and nuts, and emotions like compassion and love and kindness and forgiveness. These are all Kapha expressions in the physiology. when kapha gets out of balance, it becomes inert, slow, dull, and nobody wants to be like that. So we really need to know, well, how can I prevent myself from getting into what we would call kapha imbalance? So kapha can be balanced by various activities, but one of the most powerful in the yoga tradition is pranayama. Pranayama is the most powerful way to deal with the difficulties that are confronting kapha individuals. Kapha is expressed through being overweight. And many of the programs that are in weight loss really are misdirected. And because of that, many of these diets that are expressed, because they don't understand this concept of kapha, leads to problems with them becoming fad diets. None of these energy patterns exist independently. So the energy pattern of Vata gives us a thin, lanky individual who's very creative, always moving, can't sit still. But there are others who have strong Pitta and others who have strong Kapha traits. But these elements, or these energy patterns of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, are actually represented in all of us in various combinations. So you'll see Pitta Vata combinations, or Pitta Vata Pitta, or you'll see Pitta Kapha, or Kapha Pitta combinations. It's rare, it's extremely rare that all of them are represented equally in one individual. They're usually in combinations of two that are predominant. So what does it look like? A Pitta Vata would be kind of like me. He'd be a mesomorphic, he would have a medium-sized build, but he might have some elements that are thin, not heavily muscled. Whereas another who is Vata Pitta would have kind of a lanky constitutional structure and would be kind of thin, have difficulty putting on weight, have trouble with a racing mind. And then Pitta Kapha would have kind of a medium-sized build, but he would have a lot more muscle because Kaphas are very strong. My story is that a tackle for the Green Bay Packers is a perfect example of a Kapha, strong, sturdy, great endurance, great stamina, strong, muscled individual. These are Kapha individuals, but they, as we talked about, they have their elements of dysfunction. They can get very obese very easily. People say, a Kapha will say, I just look at food and I gain weight. So these kinds of combination patterns are really important to understand because we need all three energy patterns in order to function in our life.